Hey everybody, Home-Size Henry here, and in today's video we're going hunting for XL Mandibuzz in the Ultra League with Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko is an electric and fairy type Pokemon, which means it is an absolute wall to Mandibuzz. For the moveset, it has Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and Dazzling Gleam. While it does hit very hard, it only has Nuke Charge moves, which limits it quite a bit in Go Battle League, and it's ranked number 393 on PvPoke for the Ultra League. In spite of that, by pairing it up with a Buzzwole lead and a Shadow Steelix save switch, I was able to go 9-2. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's go Tapu Koko. Hopping into the first match, we see a disastrous lead leading Buzzwole into Shadow Nidoqueen. I save switch into Shadow Steelix, and my opponent is going to respond with Greninja, and you could not start a match much worse than this. Nidoqueen hits both my back two Pokemon for super effective damage while being a wall to energy from Buzzwole. I will commit the shield as Greninja goes for the Hydro Cannon, and I'm going to be double shielding here. My only hope is that somehow I can Dragon Tail down before they make it to their next Hydro, and Steelix barely can. Now I leave with energy to threaten the Nidoqueen, but the opponent makes a very wise call and they send in their final Pokemon, which is Umbreon. I go for the Breaking Swipe. I'm going to look to try and catch a foul play onto the Buzzwole. My catch is unsuccessful and back in comes the Nidoqueen. But the good news is I've stored a bunch of energy on the Steelix that I can potentially use to threaten the Nidoqueen later. And once the Nidoqueen is out of the way, Tapu Koko will do very well versus the Umbreon. Lunge will be no-shielded by the Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen continues to farm. They're looking for the farm down. I make it to the superpower, but I'm going for the lunge intentionally, as I need to debuff them by 2 stages from both lunges, so this way I can hopefully tank this Earth Power. This is Shadow Nidoqueen versus Shadow Steelix. Earth Power does not KO, and I immediately go for the Breaking Swipe, as I need this damage. Opponent commits to shield. I wait a turn to make sure that they do not catch onto the Umbreon, and go for another Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe onto the Nidoqueen, gets them to 1 HP. In comes the Umbreon, and it's answered by Tapu Koko. They're going for the last resort. That does quite a lot of damage. Tapu Koko is extremely frail. Tapu Koko is going to be hit with another last resort, and this will get Tapu Koko into the red. Tapu Koko able to hang on and make it to the Dazzling Gleam. That's still a pretty healthy Umbreon, but Tapu Koko does not care, taking care of the Umbreon and securing the win. We see a great lead in the next match, Buzzwole into Galarian Stunfisk. Opponent throws a Mud Shot, save switches into Mandibuzz, and our target has been acquired as in comes Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko, due to its unique electric fairy typing, is an absolute wall to energy from Mandibuzz's typical moveset. Mandibuzz can go for Aerial Ace, they can go for Dark Pulse, it's not gonna matter, it is resisted. I'm looking to farm up to 100 energy with the Tapu Koko. They fire off charge move number 3, Tapu Koko still not yet in the red, making it to 100 energy and going for the Thunderbolt. That overfarm there was a bit inefficient. I should have thrown 1 Volt Switch sooner, but either way, we're able to secure the KO onto the Mandibuzz. Back in comes the Galarian Stunfisk. Unfortunately, I can't really afford to pivot here. I would love to pivot, but I only have 1 good check to the Galarian Stunfisk, so I'm just going to land the Dazzling Gleam and let myself get farmed down. Rock Slide will hit for neutral damage onto the Buzzwole, as unfortunately I get 1 turn bring in, and I do not get the counter that I should have got through there. I continue to farm with the Buzzwole. We see Stunfisk firing off another Rock Slide. I will be able to live this. I continue to farm in the back. It's a Shadow Swampert, and I'm going for the Lunge. Lunge is going to do quite a lot of damage to the Swampert. Opponent commits the shield. I'm farming up with the Steelix. Opponent tries to go for the CMP tie. So many Steelixes love to throw as soon as they get their move, but by going for good timing, I get an entire Dragon Tail for free. I shielded up the Earthquake, and now I can go for the Breaking Swipe, and now that they're 2 stages debuffed, I will be able to withstand this Earthquake. So I can very comfortably no-shield. It is the Earthquake. Steelix able to hang on, get the farm down. Back in comes the Galarian Stunfisk, and with a loaded move onto my Steelix and on my Buzzwole, this game is over. Opponent realizes it, and they end up letting the move go. We see a bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Buzzwole into Toxicroak. Both our fast moves are resisted. I have to go for Lunge in this matchup, and the opponent makes a very nice catch as they catch the Lunge onto Drifblim. Bad news for the Drifblim, however. I have an electric type in the back. In comes Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko farming up energy here. Drifblim fires off the Icy Wind. Icy Wind, even when debuffed, still does a solid chunk of damage to the Tapu Koko. Again, this thing is super glassy. Thunderbolt secures the KO. Opponent, are they going to be sending back in the Toxicroak here? here? My guess is yes, and they do. Sending in the Toxicroak, opponent overfarms and plays to a CMP tie that they do not win. Toxicroak wins a lot of CMP ties, but not against Tapu Koko. I can very comfortably no-shield now. I've gotten the Toxicroak into farm down range, so I can send in the Buzzwole. And let's see what they have in the back. Oh no, it's Mandibuzz. I mean, I win the game, but I would have loved to align that onto the Tapu Koko. Either way, I can just send in the Steelix here, and my opponent no longer has a win con. But this is, I would say, a bittersweet victory, as it would have been really funny to see this Mandibuzz not be able to do anything going up against the Tapu Koko. I land the Breaking Swipe onto the Mandibuzz. Opponent realizes they no longer have a win con, and they concede the match. We've got a terrible lead in the next match. Buzzwole into Shadow Charizard. Opponent is going to respond with Jellicent, but they did give me an energy lead on the Steelix. I make it to the Breaking Swipe, and getting this debuff before I take any damage is massive. My opponent can now fire off Surf after Surf. That is perfectly fine. I'm able to withstand these debuff Surfs and try and make it to the Earthquake. Earthquake, of course, does get same type attack bonus, and I'm hoping that if I can connect with an Earthquake, it will allow me to win the zeros. I'm farming up with the Steelix, going for the Earthquake. I need this to KO. Come on, Steelix. Earthquake barely does not. You've got to be kidding me. I do need Switch though, so I will go down a shield. Opponent sends in the Shadow Charizard. I'm farming up, and I'm going for the Breaking Swipe. This is Shadow on Shadow, so this will do a lot of damage. Opponent is going to commit the shield. Looks like Shadow Charizard is trying to commit to the wing attack down, but Steelix will not be denied. Steelix going for another Breaking Swipe, getting both shields from the opponent. They have a massive amount of energy, but they're debuffed. In comes Tapu Koko in the back. It's Tentacruel, and I'm able to make it to the Thunderbolt, barely able to outpace. Thunderbolt is going to secure the KO. Opponent sending back in the Charizard. This is a really tough call. Are they baiting? Are they nuking? I shield. It's the nuke. I wait 2 turns, switch and catch onto the Buzzwole, and they need a perfect undercharge to win this game. They full send it. It gets the KO. Tapu Koko volt switches down the Charizard, and we take the win. Buzzwole sees a great lead in the next match as it leads into Steelix. Steelix staying in this losing matchup, which is a bit of a surprise, so something in the back isn't a big fan of Buzzwole either. They're going to go for the Breaking Swipe as soon as they get it. I'm going to look to farm up 4 counters and then go for the Superpower. Superpower will not KO here, but it does quite a lot of damage. Opponent will commit the shield. I'm now going to go for Superpower number 2. This is double debuffed, but it's still going to do a solid chunk of damage. I throw 1 more counter, switch into my own Steelix, and not only do I get the catch, but I also get an entire free Dragon Tail. Opponent now going to send in Poliwrath into my debuff Steelix. Steelix can't really do much here other than just debuff the Poliwrath in return, and then hopefully set up a very nice farm down for the Tapu Koko, as Tapu Koko, of course, is going to be resisting the counters. They're firing off the Scald. I'm going to let myself get as low as possible and fire off the Breaking Swipe at the last second. I do want to debuff them before I get KO'd, but I don't want them to get any extra counters as a result. So now they're 2 stages debuffed. I can send in the Tapu Koko. Opponent ends up firing off their energy on alignment. I will commit the shield. It's double debuffed, but again, Tapu Koko is very frail. This is only enough for an Ice Punch, so I am going to let this through. Ice Punch, of course, does not get same type attack bonus, so Tapu Koko able to tank that very well. In comes the Steelix. I go for the Snipe. Oh my goodness. I try and go for the Snipe, but the Steelix is able to hang on, and in comes Trevenant to meet the Buzzwole. Lunge will connect. Trevenant has energy, and they fire off their move on alignment. So I get an entire Volt Switch for free. Opponent thought I was playing to the CMP tie, and now I'm going for the Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam, I go for an undercharge. My opponent actually commits the shield, which was a bit of a surprise for me. I'm farming up with the Tapu Koko, and Tapu Koko, again with the massive attack stat, winning CMP, securing the KO. But the issue is, Steelix has energy. This is only enough for a Breaking Swipe, however. That is not enough for a Quake, so I'm able to withstand that damage and make it to the Dazzling Gleam, and Tapu Koko is a Steelix counter confirmed as we secure the knockout onto Steelix. We move into a new match, but we get the same leads as last game. Buzzwole into Steelix. Opponent staying in this lead like last time. I'm farming up a ton of energy. There was a little bit of lag there. My opponent now sends in Jellicent, and I'm going to respond with Tapu Koko. Unfortunately, I was very slow on this switch, and being down energy means that my opponent is actually going to be able to flip this if they double shield, which is definitely not ideal. Thunderbolt will be shielded by my opponent. They throw on alignment, And unfortunately, that Volt Switch that sneaks really doesn't help me all that much. I am going to be able to make it to one final Thunderbolt. I wait a turn there to try and CMP tie, but unfortunately my opponent does not fall for it, because 2 Volt Switches is 8 turns, and 3 Hexes is 9, so I threw 2 Volt Switches, waited a turn, hoping I could force a CMP tie, but sadly my opponent did not fall for it, so they do exit with energy that they can use to threaten the Steelix. Steelix will be met with double Surfs. Let's see what's in the back. It's Virizion, and they're weak to the Buzzwole. But the unfortunate thing here is that I have taken some damage onto the Buzzwole. I'm able to land the lunge. In comes my opponent's Steelix, and they have energy. Buzzwole flexing for the camera as Breaking Swipe will connect. I'm farming up with the Buzzwole and going for the debuffed superpower. I'm hoping this is going to be enough to KO, but it does not. Buzzwole just cannot get the farm down. The 1 HP survive. Oh my goodness. Steelix able to hang on. Buzzwole gets the farm down. In comes the Virizion, but this is a debuff lunge. I should have stored this energy. I try and go for the combo play. Oh no, but they anticipate it, and I've lost this game. I have not played this endgame well. I send back in the Buzzwole. Buzzwole will be met with a charge move from the Virizion, and this should be game over. Sacred Sword connects. Buzzwole survives on 1 HP, makes it to the superpower. Superpower takes down Virizion, and we win a game that honestly I had no business winning. We see an incredibly tough lead in the next match as I lead Buzzwole into Skeledirge. Now Skeledirge is a pretty massive core breaker for this team. I go into the Steelix, my opponent is going to stay in with the Dirge and go for the Shadow Ball. I'm farming up and I decide to go for a bait. My opponent, are they going to shield? Are they going to call it? They call the bait. That is extremely unfortunate. I should have just full sent the Earthquake there. I felt like the Earthquake was threatening that they would have to shield. The good news is the opponent ends up shielding anyway. They send in Trevenant, and Trevenant is going to be met with a Breaking Swipe. Switch Clock will be up soon. My Buzzwole can't do anything against the Skeledirge, so I'm just going to bring in the Buzzwole here. This feels like the best use of Buzz that I can get, because going up against Skeledirge, I can't really do much of anything, whereas here at the very least, I can hit for neutral. So I am going to be firing off the lunge into the Trevenant. Lunge connects. Trevenant makes the last second charge move. If it's a Shadow Ball, if it's a Seed Bomb, I'm still not shielding. It is only the Seed Bomb there. Honestly, I was not counting, but it is just going to be the Seed Bomb. In comes the Skeledirge. Oh no. And the Incinerate KOs. In comes the Steelix. This is a very tough call to make. Do I save the shield? Yes, I save the shield for the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko will not get the farm down as Skeledirge is going to make it to a move. It's the Disarming Voice. I commit the shield in the back. It's Heliolisk. Heliolisk is extremely frail, but the unfortunate thing is they can just go Breaking Swipe. It's double resisted, but it's going to apply a permanent debuff that I will not be able to reset for the rest of the match. And now I'm not sure if this Dazzling Gleam is going to be enough to KO. Come on, Tapu Koko, please. Dazzling Gleam just does not get the KO. Due to the Breaking Swipe, Heliolisk able to withstand that damage and get the win courtesy of a Grass Knot. Hopping into the final match, leading Buzzwole into Vikavolt. Oh my goodness, the spice from the opponent is off the charts. Vikavolt, I guess, is the Ultra League version of Charjabug, but of course it is way glassier than Charjabug ever was. Lunge will be shielded. I farm up, I switch into the Steelix. Steelix should be walling whatever they throw here. They end up going for the X-Scissor. Opponent now gonna send in Trevenant. Trevenant goes for the Seed Bomb, trying to go for a CMP tie with the Breaking Swipe, but I just go for the extra. I do like to throw on good timing even when I am using Steelix, and I've noticed a lot of people will try and go for the CMP tie, so as a Steelix user, you just get an entire Dragon Tail for free, which is extremely nice. Alright, I'm farming up quite a lot of energy here and going for the Breaking Swipe. I actually go for an undercharge here because I do not want to KO the Trevenant. Instead, I want an energy lead on Tapu Koko. Again, Tapu Koko only has nuke moves, so getting an energy lead is very, very helpful. I should be walling the energy from the Vikavolt, so if they send it back in, that clues me to the fact that something in the back is going to be weak to Tapu Koko. I am going to no shield here. Opponent goes for the X-Scissors. That still does massive damage. Vikavolt hits extremely hard. Oh my goodness. I will have to burn a shield, and my goal is I'm going to look to try and overfarm quite a bit if my opponent shields here. My opponent shields the Thunderbolt. They are definitely weak in the back to Tapu Koko. I overfarm, not playing to the CMP tie. I want to overfarm even a bit more, so that way I can hopefully reach whatever whatever move I'm going to need versus their back Pokemon. I fire off the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt will secure the knockout. In the back, it's Giratina, and it's a Dragon Breath Giratina, and Tapu Koko makes it to the Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam onto Giratina, nearly one-shots it from full health. This thing outputs monster damage. Oh my goodness. And Buzzwole secures the win with a lunge. All in all, I had a ton of fun getting to run Tapu Koko today. For a Pokemon ranked number 393, it did put in a surprising amount of work. However, this is still definitely not a Pokemon that I would recommend using if you're looking to climb rank. I would say that there was definitely a little bit of good RNG on my side with having this run, but still, man, it was a lot of fun getting to see some people who were completely unprepared for an electric fairy type in the back. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been Home Slice Henry.